talk about plants and what, if anything, we need to do to those plants, but we have to talk about how to identify them. And I always try to keep this really subtle during these classes. We're going to talk about taxonomy, plant taxonomy today. In other words, the arrangement and the form of structures that we use to identify plants. But I'm going to keep that terminology very, very little today, very small, so that I don't overwhelm you. That's going to be my goal. But understand it's crucial because you have to know what that organism is before you put it in your mouth. Unless you are Shaman Alberto, and then you will know. still trying to advertise.
Thank you so much.
There are people that may have that type of heart-based communication. We need to develop it. But with that in mind, we're going to walk along slowly. I'm going to spot things that I want to share with you. That doesn't mean that you can't ask questions about things. I'm happy to answer, like, what's that, what's that, what's that? We just may not spend a lot of time on it because there are big ones that I want to hit today.
Chia seeds and hemp seeds. What about that?
Chia is another exception, like that genus, because it's not just chia. Chia belongs to the genus Salvia, for people that know that. Yeah. And there's even another one that's coming out that people are raving might even be better than chia.
Solba?
Which is the clary sage,
oh.
Salvia scleria, same genus.
Right.
These are ones that are jacked in omega-3 fatty acids as well, even though they're dry fruits.
Right.
Salba is chia. It's a trade name for
it's,
chia.
Right, right.
It's just a brand name.
It's from Peru or something.
It is chia.
Yeah, these are wonderful. And the wonderful thing about chia, remember, chia is it's cultivated now, but it is not fantastically different than its wild relative. They look a lot alike. So it's minimally modified is what I would say from its wild ancestor. And a long history of being eaten. Antioxidants that protect the omega-3 fatty acids even when they're baked into breads and cooked in soups. And that's the problem. These fatty acids aren't very heat stable. Very different with chia, so it makes it a remarkable food for us to sort of rebalance those ratios.
What about hemp?
Hemp? I don't use it. I can't speak to it. Anyone?
I would just want to say that there's certain foods that I think is important to recognize. See, chia has... I believe chia's history as a food, as a staple food, which means consumed in large quantities, 5,000 years, and it predates maize. Right? It, as a food, predates maize. Whereas hemp and flax have very little history with use as a food, and they have industrial applications for a long time. So as fibers and as oils and as paints and as lubricants, but their use as food was very limited because they have high phytoestrogen contents, and so what happens? So what happens is people will see the fatty acid profiles. Somebody gets the idea to market it as a food. They come up with a great whack of marketing, and that spreads through the population. Everyone uses it as the food of the month. But if we don't have a long history with the food, I think we should be careful before we turn it into a staple for ourselves.
That's what we're doing with the wild foods that we're talking about today. These are foods that we have a long history with, so we know they're safe for us when processed correctly.